It has been a historic mandate for the BJP-led government, the strongest mandate in the last 50 years, with the government coming back to power the second consecutive term. And joining me is Mr. Narayan Murthy, the co-founder of Infosys and a big voice from India Inc. So thank you so much for taking on the time and joining us. As I was saying, this has been an historic mandate in the last 50 years. Second time, the first time that we're seeing a government return back with absolute majority. So a lot is riding high as far as expectations from the people are concerned.
Well, I think it is absolutely a stupendous victory for Shri Modi ji and BJP. I am quite happy that there is going to be continuity, because one of the important requirements for any sustained economic progress in any country is the continuity of the policies and a stable government. I think both these requirements are satisfied by the current dispensation of the parliament, the new dispensation of the parliament. So I have confidence that in the coming 5 years, many of the good programs that are started in terms of Startup India, in terms of Swachh Bharat, in terms of infrastructure, in terms of Make in India, etc., in terms of encouraging entrepreneurs, in terms of the various reforms in the area of finance, in terms of alternate investment policies, etc., will be continued with even greater vigor and with greater speed. So therefore, it is a positive movement.
So, you have also now indicated that continuity would be a good thing. In fact, you told us exclusively in November 2018, but also a lot more challenges on the economic front, because, globally there is a slowdown, trade war. So what do you think has to be the priority for the new government, because they are stepping in at a challenging time as far as the economy is concerned?
Well, I think the priority, it's not so much for the government, but for every Indian citizen, and that is, first, all of us have to improve our discipline levels. We have to improve our productivity levels. Because if we want to compete with China, if we want to compete with Vietnam and other such countries, then our productivity level has to go up very fast. Then our discipline levels in terms of work habits, in terms of our punctuality, etc., has to improve. And then our ability to complete large infrastructure projects in double quick time has to happen. These are some of the areas that we are weak in. It has nothing to do with the government, but it is something to do with the Indian culture. Therefore, there is need for cultural transformation in India at this point of time, because this is a good opportunity for us to seize the various opportunities that the global markets offer in competition with China, in competition with Vietnam and other countries. So therefore, that's what. On the side of the government, we have to make it even easier for entrepreneurs to start more and more companies, create more and more jobs, create more and more wealth for themselves, and we have to make it easier for foreign companies to come and invest in India. We want them to create more and more jobs, particularly in low-tech industries, because software and other industries can only provide jobs for reasonably well-educated Indians. However, the need of the day is to create jobs for not so well educated Indians, and that can only happen if we focus on low tech manufacturing and in services and in infrastructure.
So you're saying job creation will also be something that has to be a priority. But sir, also concerns around an agrarian crisis. Promises were made about doubling farmers' income. So and as far as the banking financial institutions are concerned, while there's a larger cleanup in also merging banks and helping them, holding them more accountable, you think a lot more has to happen on the front of the agrarian farmer issues as well?
Oh, absolutely. First of all, if you want to improve the productivity of agricultural labor, then we have to move people from agriculture to low-tech manufacturing and low-tech services. Because with agriculture contributing somewhere around 13-14% of our GDP, and with 65% of Indians involved directly or indirectly in agriculture, obviously the agricultural productivity is somewhere around 1/4 or 1/5 of Indian per capita GDP of $200 to $2,000. So that is a very low per capita productivity. So therefore the need of the day is to shift people from agriculture to low-tech manufacturing and low-tech services after training them, and then give impetus to the people remaining in the agriculture sector to improve their productivity through new methods, new fertilizers, new research, etc., so that we can indeed compete with countries like US and China and European countries in producing more out of 1 acre of land than what we are doing today.
All right. So last couple of questions. Do you also expect the fact that this is a second term, a stronger mandate, a larger focus to be on development? Because the narrative, so to say, and some would say has been polarized, so to say. Do you think now the focus of the government will also be on development, and that will pick up as a strong narrative?
No, I think in fairness we must accept that the government of Sri Modi was focusing more and more on development, whether it was infrastructure, whether it was economic reforms, whether financial reforms, whether it was Make in India, whether it is Startup India. I think all these were in some way connected with development. For example, the other day I was going to Mysore and I was so happy to see the Bangalore-Mysore road being converted to a 6-lane highway as against 4-lane highway that it is today. So I think there are various initiatives that have started. We need to accelerate them. We need to complete them quickly, and these are all aspects of development. Absolutely.
Startup India, something that you spoke about.
Yeah.
Infosys really had humble beginnings in the start,
yeah.
But over the last 5 years, it has really become a movement. It's a lot more easier for startups. Regulatory environment is opening up. So, do you see a stronger push? The fact that we'll see a lot more job creators now than job seekers, with a larger push from the government also for entrepreneurs?
I think there are. I don't want to go into the details here, but there are many other areas where we have to accelerate removing of bottlenecks for entrepreneurs. For example, we need more and more domestic venture capital, and that means more and more pension funds will have to get into with the venture capital firms, like it happens in in developed countries. We have to give more and more importance to alternate investment funds, various types of AIFs. We need to ensure that all the bureaucratic hurdles that our entrepreneurs have, which should be removed. So there is a lot of work on the table to make Startup India even more successful. So I look forward to all those things happening with even a greater sense of alacrity than it happened in the last term. And I hope our entrepreneurs will create millions of jobs every year that the Prime Minister would want. So,
all right. You're saying they will have to address as far as some issues in Startup India is concerned. But GST has been a game-changing reform. You think there is scope for more simpler form of GST in the coming years, so to say? People seem to have adapted, but there is still some hiccups in terms of implementation, really?
I am an admirer of GST. I think it's a great thing. It eliminates lots of hassles. It eliminates duplicates. It is a good initiative. So, all of us, the citizens, have to accept a little bit of hassles that are required in that may be there in the beginning to adapt to the new system and make it a success. Everything can't be done by government. Government has done its part in instituting GST. Now it is for us to adapt quickly to that. So therefore, as an admirer of the GST system, I had seen VAT system in 1973 implemented in the UK. So therefore, already we are 25, 26 years late. Whatever, 24, 25 years late. So at this point in time, for the citizens of the country to complain that GST has this problem, that problem, yes, there may be some issues that need to be sorted out. Yes, we should bring it to the attention of the government. Government will sort it out. But we have to put in our part of the work so that we together, government and us, can make it a big success.
Works well. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for taking all the time.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you so
Pleasure.
much. Thanks.